Anyway, to go back to the horses, my father knew that all of us wanted horses.
All kids.
It was the big, it was a big deal.
So this was your dad?
Mm-hmm. So he got two horses.
My grandfather.
Okay. To make sure she didn't hit me.
Your grandfather, right?
So what happened?
He loved animals too. So he got two horses. He got one for him and one for the kids, basically.
Oh, I thought Marion had a horse.
I think she was supposed to ride the one the kids got.
I didn't know he had done an economy model here.
Yeah, and of course his horse was the more spirited one, and also he was pretty good looking. Red Boy was his name was what was his name? Texas.
Oh.
That was the horse that he rode.
And
Red Boy was the kids model, and was supposed to be as nice as the other horse, but he was kind of a stinker and had a head of his own. And one time he got away from me when I was riding him, and he took off back to the stables, and he was kind of a stinker. But anyway, for a while we rode them a lot, and one time he put them in a show, and I actually got to ride at one of the occasions, one of the riding
rodeos, they're called.
Riding special riding, basically group riding.
Okay.
Oh.
And
okay.
me and him, he got to ride on Texas, and I rode Red Boy, and we rode around a ring together and this sort of thing. We didn't know any tricks or anything.
Okay.
But
this I never heard. Didn't you?
But
all
he was
have
real
special,
proud of it.
Didn't you have Western gear
Yes,
tack?
yes.
Or the
We all wanted cowboy boots and hats.
Naturally.
And I got to wear my cowboy boots and my hat when I rode Red Boy in that ring. And I really enjoyed it. Again, it was a moment when I bonded with my father, and he was really happy to be riding around there. No one else wanted to ride on Red Boy. With him that day, and I had come along with him and had stuck around the whole day and this sort of thing. So when the group riding came up, I was right there, ready to go.
Awesome.
So, and I was usually really shy about this sort of thing, during class skits, on the stage. I was terrified of that. But I actually went out and did this with my father.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah. So
The only reason I know anything about this, and I didn't know about the riding, competition riding, like that. The only reason I know anything about it is we used to go walking along the levee, and about 2 miles north of Marion's house, there's a stable, or there used to be a stable, and every time we'd walk by, naturally, we'd talk about, the horses and all. And
Tell me something about a pet from your childhood.
Gosh, well,
Snooky.
well, I can tell you about when we lived on a farm.
Okay.
I had a pet rooster and a pet hog.
Mm-hmm.
And they both became pets, kind of by default. I didn't set out to say, hey, I want a pet pig or I want a pet rooster, but I was given this as a child's chore. It was my job to feed them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I would go and give them special treats.
Mm-hmm. What were their names?
Well, stupid names. The pig was named Blackie, and the rooster was named Ruru, because he would, like this, and that's what it sounded like to me. I was 5 years old at the time.
Yeah.
So anyhow, but I don't know what happened to the rooster, but the pig was slaughtered when he was still at the slug. So there's more to the story. When he was at the suckling pig stage, and my mother cooked him and all.
Oh no!
And served him for dinner.
No!
And we all sat there.
Oh my God!
Looking at the pig, and nobody wanted to eat it.
Well, no, of course not.
She had to throw it all away. And this
Or
is
she gave it to someone.
yeah, or gave it to someone.
Yeah.
But this is a story that got told again and again and again. The story of the
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
no. Well, why did she who slaughtered the pig?
pig. My dad.
Why? He knew it was your pet.
Well, because if you're a Cajun, a suckling pig is pretty hard to pass up.
Oh, jeez.
And it was, I guess it was beautifully. They roasted it. It was a beautifully roasted.
Well, yeah, that's just disgusting.
Well, honey, I'm telling you. This
No,
is
no, I know, but that's tragic. That's horrible. That had to have been
I was-
traumatic.
I still remember it.
It had to have been so traumatic.
Well, I didn't fuss at them or throw a fit or anything.
Yeah.
I just kind of went into withdrawal. I mean,
Yeah.
what was the point? The pig was gone.
Yeah.
I mean, getting upset about it wasn't going to bring the pig back.
Yeah.
But
His mom said, told me that he would say, "Oh, poor Blackie," or whatever, "Poor Blackie." When everyone was sitting there,
Yeah.
trying to eat.
well, no, this didn't encourage people. They were trying to eat it, and I was there moaning over the pig.
Yeah.
And I don't remember all of the details, Gail. I was only
Yeah.
5 years old. I still
Yeah.
remember feeding them. I had a horse too that would ride out into the cotton fields. Just an old horse, probably.
You remember what you called him?
No,
No. How
Yeah.
old were you?
5.
5.
And-
Well, I got to ride on some of the horses when you would interview some of the Amish families
Mm-hmm.
in Illinois. I enjoyed that. I'd be riding them bareback.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I forgot you'd come with me.
Yeah, it's for me. It was easy because I just have an intrinsic trust of most animals, and I mean I didn't need a saddle or
Right,
reins or anything.
they're-
I just had to trust them.
All these, we see the Amish horses pretty often too, because they come into Sullivan and they have a place back of the supermarket where they can tie. They have a railing for them to tie up the horses and their buggies,
Yeah,
and the
And
horse
what's neat,
they'll
too,
wait there.
is we'll fantasize it, what they might be thinking or
Yeah.
saying to one another.
I predict it's 1,000 times more noble than any of the humans around them. You just know it.
Well,
you know it.
that Jonathan Swift in Gulliver's Travels, the last section of the book deals with
The Houyhnhnms.
The Houyhnhnms, and
Yeah.
that's horses.
Yeah,
That's what they called themselves because they whinny, and they, of course, in his book, science fiction, of course, the Houyhnhnms can talk, and they regard the human beings are called yahoos, and that's where the term yahoo comes from.
Yeah.
And when the yahoos first appear in the book, they're engaged in throwing crap at one another,
Yeah, they're terrible.
and they're just absolutely,
Filthy,
yeah. Seems like a
disgusting.
pretty accurate rendition of,
Yeah.
of humanity.
And
a lot
the
of
horses are very noble, and they sleep
Yeah.
on clean straw,
Yeah.
and converse. They have philosophical discussions. It's really,
Yeah. Oh my God, he's like one of our kind. Then
He had-
yeah,
oh, yeah,
that
a lot of-
guy.
And
Yeah.
they really came to respect him,
Yeah.
even though he was, human.
Yeah,
they accepted him, and then that's how the book ends.
yeah,
Jonathan goes back to England.
Well,
know.
he was going to become a Houyhnhnm.
Yeah, he wanted to join up
Yeah.
with the horses, but he winds up going back to England. And the first time he goes home and sits down for dinner with his wife and children, he's totally disgusted by his own family. And that's how the book ends. He doesn't feel
Yeah.
like he belongs
Yeah.
anywhere anymore.
And,
Wow.
he yearns to be back with his noble friends among the Houyhnhnms.
yeah. That's right. It's been ages since I read that.
Well,
Forgot about all that.
Swift has another famous item, which I used to teach, but the last couple of times I taught it, I don't think the students got it, or maybe
Yeah.
they hadn't read it, or both.
Yeah.
But it's called A Modest Proposal.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
famous piece.
Yeah, no,
And
that
when
one.
he proposes that to solve it was basically, we would call it a protein problem today in Ireland. That the best way to do that was
Yeah,
to let the babies, especially ones that were bastard children or orphans, or but any baby you can get a hold of, and let them get to about a year old. And he describes, if you let it get for a year and a half old, it'll be juicier and fatter,
Yeah.
He describes all this, and you roast the baby, and serve that. and then you
That
can
was
pay.
his modest.
Yeah.
You pay the family.
You know, I
for
think
it.
that's part of what I remember that, and I think that's part of what I mean, I was already a vegetarian off and on, but I think that's part of it. And then, of course, it was also powerful social commentary because it laid bare just how sick it is. The way that we marginalize each other.
Yeah.
And what the culmination of that kind of hierarchical thought would be.
There are all kinds of jokes in
Yeah.
Swift's.
Yeah,
For
it's
example,
really good.
the second section of the first section, of course, he visits the Lilliputians, and they tie him up with thread and so forth, the little people. And then in the second section, he visits these scientists, and it's a big put down of. He describes the scientists as being. They're all falling asleep and they have their heads on their shoulders like this. And when they wake up, they spout equations and stuff like that. So
Interesting.
But anyhow, the place that they live is called La Puta, which is Spanish for
The whore.
prostitute or
Yeah.
whore. So,
You remember that? That's an interesting segue because I remember Uncle Robin had a cat he had named Puta.
Right.
Remember that little gray
Yes.
cat?
Yes, I remember.
That was way before Katrina.
Yeah, I didn't remember that, but
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. And the cat would just walk in the house,
Shit.
through
Almost
the
had a
open
wreck.
windows.
Almost had a
Oh,
wreck.
shit. Someone
She's
acting
like
like
okay?
a jerk.
Thank you. Gail, you remember the snowball stand?
I do.
It's still open.
Yeah.
There it is. Looks like the same damn sign. I don't think they've painted it.
No, I don't think they
30
have.
years.
Yeah.
Same shack.
Yeah.
And I bet she makes a fortune off that thing.
We had good snowballs, too.
Gail, I can remember when these trees were planted.
Really? When was that?
Oh, I was probably, I don't know, 6th or 7th grade. Something like that.
6th or 7th
Around
grade.
10 or 11.
Yeah.
So it would have been in the mid 50s,
Late 50s.
late 50s.
Yeah. Middle to late.
Retrace. The two friends were Nellie Prochnow and Kim Dallas.
Uh huh.
And actually, I was closer probably to Kim. We both loved horses. We pretended to be horses, or pretended that we had stick horses, and we'd, ride them around and this sort of thing. And anyway, and we would pretend that different parts of the neighborhood were parts of the galaxy, and we were traveling around to all these different places and exploring them and this kind of thing.
What? You have
Well-
told me about their names, but I didn't know about the galaxy fantasy. Now, why
Yeah.
do you like
Oh,
these
yeah.
science fiction movies about the galaxy?
I've always liked science fiction. You know why I like
Yeah.
science fiction?
Yeah, I know you've always liked. Well,
But
I
the
would
reason
read,
would
I
be-
would read science fiction too. When
The
I was a
reason
kid.
would be when I was very young, and about the age where I would be, my mother was pushing the Bobbsey twins and Nancy Drew at me.
Yeah.
She raved over Carlton's collection of, well, first of all, the Hardy Boys, but also the Rick Brant series, which is about a young scientist with a father who's a scientist. And,
She was trying to get him
he
to
has
go into
been-
science.
yeah, and he had a best friend who was a Marine. He had pretended to be older than he was and signed up for the Marines, and then, basically got released, at a certain point. And anyway, and Carlton raved over it, and my mother, said, "Oh my goodness, you read another one of those books." And guess what I wanted to read? Surprise, surprise. Not the Nancy Drew or the Bobbsey twins, but before that, well, I'll get back to that. But it was Rick Brant and all of his scientific discoveries and scientific
Strange
things.
duck in there.
I see him, Dan. But anyway, it was very exciting, and they went all over the world. Like, one of the adventures was in Tibet, one was in Washington, D.C., one was in the Polynesian Islands. So all sorts of different exciting places and things and scientific mysteries that they'd, work on or deal with. And anyway, so I got interested in that. That was kind of science fiction. In fact, one of the times, for example, the one in Tibet, there was some smugglers smuggling stuff, and what they found out was that it was heavy water that had formed naturally in this cave in Tibet. And apparently it was water that could be used for fusion bonds.
Yeah.
H3O.
Yeah.
But you also got interested in fantasy too, because
Sure.
Carlton was interested and I first learned about the Hobbit books from Carlton and your
Right,
mom.
but that was later. That was when,
later.
I was in my
it had to
teens.
be later because that's when I met you. It was later, but the Hobbit books had already been out for a while, but I
Yeah.
hadn't particularly gotten into them, and I may have known about them, but
Those books
Yeah.
cast a spell on you. I remember reading them when I was 14.
yeah, well, it's a whole. That's why the movies
Oh, yeah.
are so popular.
Yeah.
And
And you read the
the-
Lord of the Rings books too, didn't you? Or
Yeah, I read everything.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, but anyway, to go on, that was the sort of thing that I thought was most interesting. I also loved, this was one my mother pushed at us that I did love and really latched on to, was the F.L. Baum books.
oh,
The Oz
Wizard
books.
of Oz. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you see, Gail, this ties in with what I was telling you yesterday about Marion's interest in literature and books. So, that was one thing I forgot to tell you. When Leslie and I first got married, we only got married once, so after we,
Yeah,
during
I
the
know,
first
it's okay.
days of our
Yeah.
marriage, I should say, in first years, even when we moved out to the country and bought the farmhouse. Your grandmother would send us. Well, first of all, she gave me a subscription to Horizon magazine, and I still have all of them. They're not magazines in the normal sense. They're an actual bound, oversized, looks like a small newspaper size, but hardcover. And they're filled with articles on history and culture and art. You know, like the Impressionists, or maybe Chinese art, or Chinese scrolls, or things like that. Very, very artsy, very intellectual, and very well done. And then she also gave us some individual art books. Quite a few of them, and that's one of the reasons that I don't know how I inherited them, but I came across them just recently. They were in a box where I was sorting stuff. They're still in the living room. I actually have some of her art books, Marion's art books.
Yeah.
But she gave us a whole bunch of them, not used books, new ones that she bought for us as gifts. So she would often give us that as an anniversary present or something.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's why I sort of inherit. There was this good side of her that I, pretty much thought was good and cool, and was probably, when she wasn't, running on alcoholic vapors, and then, as I said, she was interested there, and she also would take us she did take us to a couple of plays
Yeah.
in the French, and I suspect if we had stayed in New Orleans, she would have.
Yeah, we would have been her cultural friends.
Yeah, we would have.
Yeah.
That would have been our niche in her
Yeah.
life. We wouldn't have been drinking buddies so much. We might our restaurants. She also knew that I really liked restaurants, and she and John got great pleasure. This is something I should have said earlier on. Of taking. I don't think they would take the other members out. I don't remember. Once with Carlton, but I can't remember going with the other siblings. And usually they would take me and Leslie.
Yeah.
Even though I wasn't a sibling.
This was a place that they had discovered.
And if it was a restaurant that of course they may have taken the other people
They probably
before.
did. Yeah.
But we got a lot of special restaurant attention.
Yeah.
And of course, it was an excuse for them to go out and Marion didn't have to cook. That's the cynical take on this. But they also really just got a real kick out of doing it,
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And
which worked to our benefit.
and I wanted to go back to one of the wonderful things my mother did about art and about reading to get us interested is that she read the first part of The Wizard of Oz to us, and at a certain point just stopped reading it. And of course, it was up to us if we were interested to continue
Oh, that's a
and
that's a
find out
good
what
tactic.
happened.
That's
Yeah.
a really good tactic, isn't
Yeah.
it?
I hadn't heard this story.
Yeah. And it worked with me. I went and I tried to figure out what was happening. I looked through the books, and they have beautiful pictures in them. And before I knew
Well,
it,
those
I
are
was
all
reading
collector's
them.
items.
Yeah, I know. They're all gone.
Wonder
Yeah.
who got them.
I think the Symphony Book Fair got them.
Oh,
Yeah.
kind of like my grandfather's pickup truck.
Yeah.
I never got it. I'd love to have that truck.
I would have loved to have kept them, but my mother was neurotic about keeping things that you hadn't looked at for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And so she insisted that I get rid of them. And anyway, but it was beautiful, and I really enjoyed that, and I think that's a wonderful gift she gave me.
Although my mother was the most, she didn't say it, but my mother was most upset about us moving to Illinois. Marion was very supportive of that.
Yeah, she was.
And I think she
Really?
She was glad you had gotten a
She was
job.
glad
and
I
you're-
got a job. Gail,
Yeah.
you think it's tough to get a job now? It's nothing. I mean,
Yeah.
when I got my
It's
PhD,
hard. It's hard.
it
yeah.
was nothing. Just
Yeah.
nothing.
Actually,
Yeah.
Stephen King mentioned that in his
Just
biography.
nothing.
Because
Just
he
nothing.
graduated with the exact same PhD at the exact same
Yeah.
time and couldn't find a
Yeah.
job anywhere.
And
Yeah.
that's why a lot of people ask me, how do you wind up in Central Illinois? Because they offered me a tenure track job, and I didn't even take it. I turned it down. I don't know if I ever told you that.
No.
And because my advisor had said, don't take the job unless they offer you $10,000. And they offered me $95,000. And so
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing either. I said,
Yeah.
I've been advised not to take this job at that salary level.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so,
yeah.
so I thought, well, there goes. So they
There
didn't say
goes one
anything.
job. Yeah,
And
it's a
when I-
good thing that they came back
Well,
because